This is a saying from the Hindu Puranas philosophy, P-U-R-A-N-A. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. And welcome to our fellowship this morning. After a really nice rain last night, that was very appreciative. Hope nobody got much hail damage out of it. We had a little hail in our area. We'll accept that for the rain, though. My name is Bruce Fielder, and it's my privilege to serve as the worship associate this morning and part of the team that works to bring the service to you every Sunday, wherever you may be. We are an inclusive congregation that welcomes you as you are, inclusive of all your identities, your complexities, and situations. We welcome your whole self, even if it isn't fully assembled, because we recognize that we are all a work in progress and that we are all in this together. And the service is being live streamed on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page as well, so those that are remote can visit and see our service today. Now, if you will, I have to give back control. All right, okay. You get to stand up and say hi to everybody. Now, if you're still standing, please join in our opening affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, for these high purposes do we unite in worship. Thank you. Please be seated. Our chalice lighting today is by UU Minister Atticus Palmer. We call this light before us and hope that we may always remain a strong community, working together to make the world a better place. When we are grieving or sad, when we are challenged, when we need help, this flame guides us out of the darkness. When we are cheerful, when we celebrate, when we accomplish a great task, when we return to a place that makes us happy, the chalice reminds us to share our happiness with others. And now Richard will come up and give us our first reading for today, a story for all ages.
Howdy, everybody. Dudes. Alan was going to do the readings today, but he had to call in a favor. He's feeling a little under the weather. So, the people I love best jump into work head first. Without dallying in the shallows, they swim off with sure strokes, almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals or field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come or the fire must be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands and crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies. Clean, evident. The pitcher cries for water, just as a person cries for work that is real.
Richard is one of our utility people. He can do all sorts of things. We haven't yet found the Peter Principle limit for him, and we probably never will. Thank you, Rich. Now's the time for our joys and concerns. This is the time for you to share good things going on in your life, not so good things going on in your life, but it gives you a chance to let our beloved community know what's happening. So if you have a joy or concern, please come up and light a candle, give us your name and share that with us. And I'll start here. So Amy and I were sitting at the house on Wednesday, and my son called, and he never calls. He texts. He's 30 years old, so he texts. And he says, well, I've got news. And I'm thinking, oh, God, he's lost his job. But the news was he and his fiancée got married. Now, it's a common law marriage. They went to the courthouse, filled out the Texas documents. They do plan to have an official ceremony later this year, but because she got laid off from her job, he wanted to get her on his benefits. And he goes, and Dad, you're the first people we called, you and Mom, because we knew you wouldn't get freaked out.
I'm James Dories. This morning's program was about my family. It was a guy named Zebulon Pike. Zebulon was my great-great-great-grandfather, and his great-great-great-granddaughter married a Bernal, who was my grandmother's great-grandparent. So my grandmother was a Bernal who became a Coffey. So I wanted to tell you that Pike, when he first saw this giant mountain, said, "It will never be ascended by mortal man." I learned that at a little shop on top of the mountain in 1954.
I'm Janda. I mentioned this in the 10 o'clock service, but a lot of y'all aren't in that one. So a bunch of you know Kathy Thomas, good friend to everybody in here almost. She and her husband were visiting their son in Poland, and they took a side trip to Rhodes, Greece, and she slipped and fell 2 days ago and broke her hip. And she had surgery like a day and a half ago because they're 9 hours ahead of us. And I've not had a message from her since. I think Susan Stokes has talked to her once since the surgery, and she's doing okay. She was really apprehensive and, of course, in a lot of pain, but she's got family there to help. And she got to meet the surgeon, and he was young and handsome and could speak English, so then she felt better. So the last I know, she's doing okay. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if they're going to have to stay in Greece for some rehab, or whether they'll get back to Krakow. I know their son lives in an upstairs apartment in Krakow, so things are going to be complicated. I don't know what's going to happen. I doubt they'll fly her home very soon. So anyway, send good vibes to Kathy Thomas and her family.
Good morning. My name is Ken Harris, and I do have a joy this morning. I am thankful for the millions of scientists in this world who work nonstop to try to understand how the world works. And I guess the lesson we learned from Mr. Pike is never say never. And I'll tell you what, some scientists did some awesome work for Jean and I. 13 years ago, somehow or another, I bought a book. It was called Deep Ancestry. I read the book, and this scientist was participating in a project called the Genographic Project. And if you sent in a DNA sample to these people, they would tell you about your genealogical past. So Jean and I sent in our DNA, and I know our ancestry right back to Africa. And we're going to discuss this afternoon. Now, I wrote down 10 little basic rules, I guess you could call them. And I thought we would go over these rules, maybe spend about 20 minutes, maybe 2 minutes on each one, make sure that we understand them. And then I've got a map here. This is Jean's genographic ancestry using her mitochondrial DNA. And it goes back to a mitochondrial Eve that lived in Africa about 150,000 years ago. Okay, the second one is my mitochondrial DNA and does the same, goes back to Africa about 150,000 years ago. And since Jean doesn't have a Y chromosome, but I do, then this next sheet is my Y chromosome that was used to figure out my genealogy back to an ancestral great-great-grandfather who lived 60,000 years ago in Africa. Now, this, by the way, this great-grandmother lived in Africa 150,000 years ago. So if you're so inclined and have the time, please come at 3:30 this afternoon. We'll discuss this. And oh, by the way, probably most of you have some Western European ancestry. If you do, then your ancestors are going to be similar or identical to Jean and I. Thank you.
Hey, dudes. I just wanted to spend my name is Richard Fennell, and yesterday was my son's birthday, and it was a special birthday to me anyway. It didn't seem like such a big deal to him, but he turned 25 this year, and I turned 50 this year, and that means that he is the age that I was when he was born. And so I pointed that out to him, and I asked, do you feel ready to raise a child? And his answer was, ah! And I said, I think those were my words too. But things worked out.
My name's John Flynn, and I have a joy. This candle is for Leandra. Her 17th birthday was on Friday. Happy birthday.
And I'll light one final candle for joys and concerns that are unspoken, but still meaningful to those that have them. Now, we are very lucky today to have not one, but two acclaimed musicians to play the song today. One of my favorite Van Morrison songs, Eric and Rick. And I'm assuming this ties in some way with Chuck's message today.
Oh, yeah.
I went flat.
You went flat just like a fountain, like a fountain soda. Yeah. Florle las flores, florle mia. Oh, hell. I was thinking about our Cinco de Mayo gig. That's not the right song. I'm sorry. Now we'll do days like this. When you don't need to worry, there be days like this. When no one's in a hurry, there be days like this. When you don't get betrayed by that old Judas kiss. Oh, my mama told me there'd be days like this. We'll do the first verse now. When it's not always raining, there'd be days like this. When there's no one complaining, there'd be days like this. When everything falls into place like the flick of a switch. Oh, my mama told me there'd be days like this. When you don't need an answer, there'd be days like this. When you don't need a chance at, there'd be days like this. And all the parts of the puzzle start to look like they fit. I'll just have to remember there'd be days like this. When everyone is up front and they're not playing tricks. When you don't have no freeloaders out to get their kicks. When it's nobody's business the way that you live. My mama told me there'd be days like this. When no one steps on my dreams, there'll be days like this. People understand what I mean. There'll be days like this. When you ring out the changes, how everything is. Oh, my mama told me there'd be days like this. Na 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 na. Days like this. Na 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 na. Days like this. Oh, my mama told me there'd be days like this. I'll just have to remember there'd be days like this. Yeah, my mama told me there'd be days like this.
It's kind of a shame because of copyright laws that people viewing this on our Facebook page or YouTube channel can't hear the music. They have to.
I forgot to tell you, I called Van last night.
Oh, good.
We're able to do it when it's performed live, so
Oh, excellent.
we just can't do it by the original.
Very good. Even better. Well, good deal. Well, Rich, come up and give our second reading today.
Yeah, occasionally when we're, because we do stream live, occasionally when we're playing music by an original artist, we have to mute it online. Otherwise, our YouTube channel will get dinged for copyright infringement. And so even when I try to find a song, like an original song, I try to find a cover of it by some random person. Often the covers are better, really. Fanatics. Fanatics cannot be easily influenced to discard their beliefs because those beliefs sustain their emotional well-being. To take it away means agony. It means pain from accepting where they are, guilt, perhaps, from acknowledging what they've done, paralyzing fear about what will be. Essentially, it means the game is over. So what are you going to do now? You won't succeed in reasoning with a fanatic because reason is not of value to them. It is of no comfort. Instead, you have to give them a new drug, a new addiction, one that better serves society. Maybe that's religion. Maybe that's civil service. Or maybe it's just something new and hilarious that we make up, a joke that all the rest of us are in on. I remember seeing something a friend shared a while back, saying that the only way to change a conspiracy theorist's mind is to beat them at their own game. So when one tells you the moon landing was fake, you look them square in the eyes and you say, "You believe in the moon?"
As we kind of calm down a little bit and we think about things in the week and how it's going and the future, here's a meditation from UU minister David Pohl. And it's actually from our UU hymnal, reading number 436. We come to this time and this place to rediscover the wondrous gift of free religious community, to renew our faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life, to reaffirm the way of the open mind and full heart, to rekindle the flame of memory and hope, and to reclaim the vision of an earth made fair with all her people one. So let's take just a little bit of time and think on this or other personal thoughts. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce, as I get to do every month, Dr. Chuck Fisher as our speaker today. And as we know, he's been a past minister of Disciples of Christ for over 55 years, and he helped found Chalice Abbey here in Amarillo. And I have to admit, Chuck, I cheated and looked that up, but I'm not going to give it away. Welcome, welcome.
For those among us who are prone to worry, these days your cup overflows. Apophis there is a near-Earth 1,100 foot across asteroid. When it was first discovered in 2004, scientists calculated that it could impact Earth. And if it did, the damage would be absolutely catastrophic. Life on Earth would cease to exist as we know it. The initial calculations indicated there was an unsettling possibility that would happen. Take a deep breath. Further calculations determined that the probability is very, very low. Okay, so that worry is slim. But wait, here's another. There is only one scenario other than an asteroid strike that could end the world as we know it in just a matter of hours. Nuclear war. And one of the triggers for that war could be a nuclear missile inbound towards the United States. Journalist Annie Jacobson recently published a what if book about just that. Nuclear war, a scenario. She presents in that book a vivid picture of what could happen if our guardrails fail. The Wall Street Journal describes her book as terrifying. Now, I thought that concept sounded interesting, and so I went to Barnes & Noble. I read a few pages. Nope. That's too real, and I don't want that stuff floating around in my head. So, frightful possibilities abound. But here's a positive. Apophis, nuclear war, climate change, the Mideast war, unsettling domestic political possibilities. All that trouble is absolutely scaring the snot out of a lot of people. And consequently, well, praise the Lord, that is good news for Christian apocalypsis people. It is. It's good for the apocalypse business. Peddlers of the apocalypse, the end times, the rapture. Current events are fulfilling biblical prophecy. Professional religious folks like that. It's really, really good for their business. Their holy coffers are overflowing. Now, I was thinking about that a while ago, and so I turned on a religious TV channel. Now, I should warn you that doing that is better left to professionals like me. But I was curious to hear, what are they saying on those channels? You know, what kind of things are they saying to address people's fear? First person I see, Jim Bakker. You remember Jim? PTL, Jim and Tammy Faye, Jim Bakker. Yes, indeed. He has his own TV program, and what do you suppose he's doing? Well, in addition to preaching the rapture is near, Jesus is coming soon, Jim Bakker is selling end-time buckets. Yes, he is. End-time buckets. There will be, says Jim Bakker, a time of tribulation and chaos before Jesus appears to save his own special people. So, he says, and I'm more or less quoting him, while you, my good Christian friends, wait, you've got to eat. I'm here to help you. You can be well fed waiting for Jesus. You can with one of my end-time buckets. A 30-day supply for 2 people, freeze-dried. All you need to do is add water. $79.95. As it is said, you can't make this stuff up. For those among us prone to worry, your cup overflows. Well, I was on a road trip last week with my 32-year-old grandson. We were in the car together for more than 10 hours, and we had a lot to talk about. We talked about all kinds of stuff. But in particular, as with many in his generation, he has concerns. he's not one of those that's scared, you know, like I was talking about. He's not frightened or anything, but he does worry that life may not be better as he ages and as his 4 children grow into adulthood. So we're back and forth, and speaking from my perspective of my generation, I acknowledge there are things to be concerned about, cause for concern. But nevertheless, I tell them, I have a positive view about the challenges that face us. He says, really? I said, really? Life will get better. It will not get worse. Climate change. Well, we didn't get there overnight, and we're not going to get back to a more habitable environment overnight. We will. I told him about he was concerned about, because he has 4 daughters, he was concerned about the abortion issue and how the rights are being taken away. And I pointed out that I think President Biden has framed it properly. It's not about states' rights, it's about women's rights. We're going to turn that around. The alarming move and the health care, universal health care. Of course, you're going to worry about your kids and that. We're going to have universal health care. Income disparity. Here was a positive indicator. We stopped at a Buc-ee's. Ever been to a Buc-ee's? Outside the Buc-ee's, they have a sign that posts job opportunities working for Buc-ee's. I was amazed. Outside the store, $23 an hour for restroom attendants. 3 weeks vacation, matching IRA contributions. It shows that a corporation can be wildly successful and pay its employees decent wages and give them benefits. It's possible. Life will get better. It won't get worse. We also talked about the advantages of open G tuning for your guitar. So that also came up. So I offered this younger generation, from a much older generation, the perspective that we have a positive future. How do I know? Well, I don't. I don't know for sure, but there is this. And here's where my TCU education comes in, from freshman literature, a Longfellow poem. I didn't really remember it. I saw it mentioned, and I went back and looked it up, but I do remember the professor talking about it. Morituri, salutamus. We who are about to die salute you. It was written late in Longfellow's life, and it was addressed to his 50th college reunion, his reflections. The poem expresses the belief that we can learn as we pass through our lives. We can learn. And that learning gives us insights that are not available to us when we're young. He says it like this: age is an opportunity no less than youth itself, though in another dress. And as the evening twilight fades, the sky is filled with stars, invisible by day. A positive future. How do I know that? I think my optimism comes from my experience. My perspective is, today, informed by a sky filled with stars, invisible by day. And this. How do I know? How do I know? Every now and again, just every so often, I see affirmation for my optimism. Like last Sunday night. It was the reason for our road trip. We were at RFG Stadium in Houston. home of the Texans professional football team, a football stadium, a place where you often find a lot of happy people if your team wins. Well, Sunday night, there were a lot of happy people, and there were no losers. We were at a Rolling Stones concert. Yes. In addition to being wildly entertaining, I experienced the concert as a spiritual experience. Now, I know, it's a challenge for some to imagine a rock concert, especially a Rolling Stones rock concert, being a spiritual experience, but I'm here to tell you it was. There they were, three old guys rocking and rolling through 18 songs and 2 hours and thoroughly entertaining people. 70,000 people. 70,000 people having a good time. I'd say sharing a spiritual experience. It wasn't about winning or losing. We came together, proving, I think, we can come together in joyous harmony. It can be. That, I see, is a positive affirmation for my optimism. So, to the younger among us, and as a reminder to myself, as the evening twilight fades away, the sky is filled with stars invisible by day. And those stars tell me it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
Yes, indeed, Keith Richards gives everybody hope, doesn't he? Thank you, Chuck. Now it's the time for our giving of our offerings. One of the things we like to emphasize at our fellowship is giving of one's time, talents, and treasure as a way to support the work of our fellowship here. So as we pass the plates around, we'll take care of that business. We are having our potluck lunch today after the service, despite my omission of not having it in the newsletter. So apologies for that. We'll get the tables and chairs set up. And again, afterwards, you don't have to rearrange the chairs. We have our cleaning crew coming in next week, and they'll sweep the floor and reset the chairs. Ken Harris's Existential Exclamations Group meeting today at 3:30. Craft for a Cause will meet the third Saturday. I'm not sure what they're doing this month. Nothing much Buddhist. We're still meeting on Monday evenings on Zoom. We're not having a book club meeting in May. And Knowledge Seekers, we're meeting every Sunday at 10 o'clock. And there is a nascent adult RE education class that meets now at 10 o'clock in the large RE room as well. So I don't know this one, Rainbow Pride Fest, 12 to 5, June the 2nd, Memorial Park. This is their annual Pride Fest, is it not? Yeah, okay, good. Upcoming, our Director of Children's Education and Youth Education, Amanda Ramsey, speaking on noise pollution. Shanna Peoples, Amarillo's own Teacher of the Year, a National Teacher of the Year from a few years back. She now teaches at West Texas A&M, a distinguished teacher there under a program. And our own Catherine English, talking about, I don't know how in the world she came up with that topic, but Older Americans Month. So, as we extinguish our chalice today, this is from our past UUA president, Robin Gray. The flame is extinguished, but not our hope for the future, our courage in the face of crisis, or the love we share in all the world. Now, if everyone can stand who wants to, we will join in our closing song.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our closing words. May the fellowship of this hour touch and move our lives until we come again together. Thank you. Have a great week.